Okay, I just got the signal. We are about to start the webinar. First of all, I would like to welcome you very much on behalf of Mitsubishi Chemical Group. This webinar is hosted around the Composite Engineering Challenge. We also do this together with one of our trusted partners, together with Revolver. My name is Tim Vorage, and I will be your host during this webinar. So once again, welcome, and great to see that many participants. I think we have over participants over 10 different countries, so that's always good to see. For those that cannot join, this webinar will also be available on demand afterwards, and also for you to further review. So let's dive into this. What are we going to discuss today? There are actually three important topics. The first one, we will give you a short introduction to our business incubator Growth Garage. Who are we? What is our team doing? Why are we doing this? And of course, we also make the link towards the Composite Engineering Challenge, which is the main topic of today. We will give you all the ins and outs, and especially, of course, I can imagine that you will be interested to learn what do you need to do to actually win. So we also spend some time on that topic. So let's dive right into it. My name is Tim Vorage. I am the founder and also the senior manager of the business incubator Growth Garage of the Advanced Materials division in Mitsubishi Chemical Group. We have an important motto in our business incubator, and that's in the end, to meet the challenges of tomorrow, we have to nurture the visionaries of today. And I probably don't have to explain what these major challenges are in the world. We have global heating, scarcity of water, we have a growing population, and we have things like global heating, an aging population that also needs attention. And we also are sure that there are a lot of visionaries around the globe among this audience that actually have solutions to tackle these big challenges. And we are here to support you in tackling these challenges. So why do we have this business incubator? Why are we promoting open innovation, and why are we reaching out to you? We hear a lot, let's say, in the world that innovation is really all about big ideas. In essence, yes, that is part of it, but we also strongly believe that it is only an innovation if that big idea also finds implementation. And that is something where we come in, and also where we are willing to support you. Today, we are not only talking about innovation, but actually also about open innovation. And what does that mean? That also means that we would like to collaborate together with you. Within our business incubator, within Growth Garage, we are working with a lot of different partners inside Mitsubishi Chemical, but also outside in the industry. So that also means that we have a broad network, a broad ecosystem that is able to support you. So whom are these partners? As mentioned, these are partners, but also people that are part from our expert jury panel that is not only there to look at submissions, but is also there so you can reach out to them and also get in contact with them. We mentioned here, let's say, a couple of our partners. In the middle, you see Revolver. That's a platform that we closely work together with in our engineering challenges for many years now. So also a big welcome to all the colleagues from Revolver. And there you also can see companies like ATC, a producer of thermoplastic composites, in the US for the aerospace market. We have somebody in the jury from Specialized. We have media partners like Composites World and JEC, also where we are working together with and also helping us to not only, let's say, promote this engineering challenge, but also to help you to search for more exposure about your great ideas, about your products, about your applications. Furthermore, I would like to mention Diamond Edge Ventures. That's our corporate venture arm. They're also part of this group, part of this challenge. And also there, if you have funding requirements, you also can get in touch with them. And furthermore, I would like to mention Nordic Bionics and Airborne, of course, AMI, Mapagee Grid, and Neura Robotics, who also recently joined our expert team. So as you can see, we are always further expanding our ecosystem and also making it more relevant for you to make sure that we have the right expertise on board to help you and your big ideas even further ahead. So the Business Incubator has an open innovation platform on which we really foster open innovation, and we are looking for collaboration with innovators, with entrepreneurs, and actually with you to make sure that we can also support you. And in the end, it's all about, let's say, tackling those big challenges. As said, open innovation for us is not only the big idea, it's all about the implementation. And there we are able to support you. On one hand, not only with looking what are the materials that you would require, we also help you selecting the right ones, designing, creating a prototype, scaling actually the products. But we also have experts around the industry, even in marketing, in business intelligence. We are working together with a venture group. And of course, we can also make sure that your big idea also gets global exposure on our platform with our media partners. So as said, we are going to help you with implementing, but of course, there are a couple of selection criteria your submission needs to meet. And a couple of them are, let's say, the technical feasibility, the commercial feasibility. We will look into scalability of your idea. But of course, also the team that you are working with, if you have the competences and capabilities to follow up with us. And of course, any idea that favors, let's say, sustainability would be great. What do we mean with that? Ideas that, on one hand, avoid waste, ideas that support, let's say, the circular economy or reduce CO2 emissions in any way. Those ideas are typically favored. I will come back to the selection criteria a little bit more elaborately later during the webinar. As said, we have an open innovation platform, so you can find us online if you have not already. We have a homepage with a lot of information on how we typically work with the finalists, with the winners, what kind of challenges we have already done in the past, and also more information, of course, on the Composite Engineering Challenge. You can find more information regarding the judging criteria, including a download, and that you can also read it, let's say, in peace with a cup of coffee, to really make sure that your submission also is able to meet those criteria. And of course, you are able to apply. So all of this you can find on our open innovation platform. As said, we have already done a couple of engineering challenges at this time. The Composite Engineering Challenge is actually the fourth one that we are doing. So far, we have worked with very different companies, different fields, from drones to robotics or even autonomous delivery vehicles. So a big variety. You only see a couple of winners here because typically we have 2 or 3 winners per engineering challenge, and also in this one we actually have 3 separate winners. I will come back, let's say, to the awards that we have, and also the packages that come with it that help you, let's say, to realize your big idea. A bit about our track record. So for the past engineering challenges, we had almost 150 submissions from over 33 countries, and in the end announced 35 finalists. And typically also we ask the community of Revolver also to choose a winner. So it's not only the expert jury panel, it's also the community that is going to judge on the submissions. We've spent on support over 100K, and at this moment we are working with almost 20 startups and scale-ups. So we're building quite a track record around the globe. So what can you expect from us? In the end, we also very much realize that all the ideas are different, that you in your startup or scale up or innovative company are at a different stage with your product or in a different stage with your business. That also means that we are going to tailor the support towards your needs. So what does that support entails? It's a selection actually of the list that you see over here, and I will shortly go through. We give you guidance, of course, in selecting the right material and technology. We support with the design of the part, also design it for manufacturing, and also depending, of course, on the series size that you intend to make. We are able to support you with material samplings, with prototyping. We have simulation expertise on board, and of course, we also can make a cost prognosis depending on the series size, depending on material and technology, what the costs eventually will be of the part that you are going to produce. As said, collaboration is important in open innovation, so that also means we give you access to our network. That means not only to our online community, but also to our partners and to our jury members. Furthermore, you will get access to industry experts, but also experts in the field of sustainability and market intelligence. We also have the opportunity to expose you to potential customers. And of course, we also will link you to our senior management in our Mitsubishi Chemical Group. And you are able to get in touch with our venture group, Diamond Edge Ventures. Lastly, let's say, of course, via our media partners, we will make sure that your big ideas get exposure around the globe. So that is also part of the package. As said, this is very broad and will be tailored in the end to your needs. Having said that, giving you a short introduction on the business incubator, why we do this, and let's say how we can support you. It's time to dive further into the composite engineering challenge of this year. We realize, let's say, that in the field of composites and producing lightweight parts, that there is still, let's say, a lot of manual labor. And if you are producing your first prototype or even your first 10 or 100 pieces, a lot of the parts are being produced, let's say, in hand or manual layup or even with spray layup. The question, of course, what happens if you want to produce hundreds or thousands or even 10,000s of parts? How are you going to scale your production? And in the end, it might be difficult to do what you are already doing. It could be too much manual work, maybe too labor intensive. You have very long cycle times, or even, let's say, the parts that you produce are not reproducible. So that means you have to find other ways to scale your production and to scale with composites. Furthermore, we also see some in our community receive some messages, hey, I really would like to improve my part performance, and also there with choosing the right materials, with choosing the right manufacturing technologies, you also are able, let's say, to further improve part performance. So if you recognize yourselves in this, and if you are producing lightweight parts, probably in a manual way, then we also can support you to really step up and also produce more in series production. So in the end, we are going to challenge the status quo. We are going to rewrite the rules of scaling, and we are inviting you, all innovators, entrepreneurs, early adopters at startups, scale-ups, and innovative companies that really intend to scale their functioning prototype or already have a small series production of any application part or product that you are producing, let's say, with lightweight carbon fiber reinforced composite materials. If you have the ambition to really scale your business, to scale your production, then you are really, let's say, on the right spot, and we would kindly advise you, let's say, to participate in this composite engineering challenge. What kind of applications, part of products are we actually talking about? And this can be a huge variety. We just listed a couple of categories. I also have to notify you if you have applications that do not fall within any of these categories. Don't worry, this challenge is also open for you. We see a lot of applications and products in the field of reducing fuel economy by lightweighting, eventually, let's say, to reduce the amount of CO2 emissions. Typical applications are within new mobility, autonomous delivery vehicles, but we also see aerospace and marine there. In the second category, we see companies that try to improve accuracy, for example, within robotics, or want to increase speed or reduce energy consumption of moving parts. Also there, UAV or let's say autonomous aerial vehicles are also possible. Category 3 is all about improved performance, a reduction of vibration, damping performance, crash resistance, but also corrosion resistance. Category 4 is about improving process efficiencies. There we see that with some of the composite technologies, composite manufacturing technologies, we can do part integration, where you can go from 5 parts to 1 part, for example, or have a much easier assembly process, reducing the complexity in the end of your production. Category number 5 is around improving the well-being of people. So also there we see typically applications within wheelchairs, for example, exoskeletons, or maybe even bionics, let's say in broader sense, but also in medical instrumentation or bicycles, for example. So in the end, let's say a broad range of applications is possible. As said, if you are not on the list, still feel free to participate in this composite engineering challenge. I think I can imagine that you're also curious on what kind of materials and production processes we have, let's say, within our toolbox to support you. So a little bit about this. In principle, you can divide it, let's say, in 2 areas. On the right, you see the thermoset materials, the forged molding compounds, typically with a carbon fiber of around 2.5 inch. Or the prepregs that some of you also probably are familiar with, can be woven or non-woven in combination with, for example, epoxy or vinyl esters. So that's the thermoset part. On the other part, you also see materials that either, let's say, can be used for 3D printing or injection molding, like Chiron-Max, for example, with carbon fiber fillers, let's say up to 40%. Chiron-Tex, a material that is a fleece that can be used for the production of parts, and you see one example of our partner ATC here, or even unidirectional tape like Chiron Ultra. So all of these materials are to your disposal. All of these materials can be used, sometimes even in combination, and of course they also come along with a design package, but also different ways of manufacturing. This whole toolbox is supported with recycled polymers, but also with recycled carbon fibers, or even bio-based resins. In the end, we will support you to reduce the carbon footprint of your product as much as possible. So this is also something that we typically offer to the winners. A bit of a deep dive on Chiron-Tex to also give you a bit of an impression of one of these, let's say, material types and how that could support you. Chiron-Tex is one of our carbon composite material platforms. With a novel technology called dry impregnation, we are actually able to produce organofleeces, as you can see in the middle. They look like a textile, they look like clothing. So it's a combination of polymer and carbon fiber. Interestingly, we are able to put it in a mold, and with some pressure and temperature, you directly can produce finished parts. And you're able to do that not within hours, no, you are able to do that within minutes. And typically this comes with an amount of automation, meaning that you are able to reduce your costs and also further improve the reproducibility of part production. In the end, because of the drapability of this material, you also have a high freedom of design. So that means that for some of the applications, for people that are actually here in this webinar, this could be one of the solutions. It doesn't necessarily have to be, because we have that whole toolbox to our disposal, and in the end we can pick and choose what would be best in your situation. And this is just to give you an impression of parts that are possible. And as you can see, some of these shapes are quite complex and can be in combination even with water jetting or with cutting, or in combination with adding inserts. And as you can see, also quite big shapes like helmets can be made out of it. So the freedom of design is absolutely great. In the end, what we are trying to do is make a translation from your prototype, probably produced, let's say, in a relatively manual way, to see how these more advanced materials and technologies can also help you to really scale production, go to a higher number of parts, and reduce the costs, and keep your freedom of design, and really, let's say, improve the professionality of your production. And meanwhile, we'll also try to improve the carbon footprint of your solutions by, for example, using bio-based materials or recycled carbon fiber, which is available at industrial scale. And we also try to see if we can design and support you to design your part such that it also fits within the circular economy. And as we will also offer to take back any waste during your production process, and even end of life, we also are able to take back the products. So also there you don't have to worry that it in the end will be a waste or even ends up in landfill. If you want to know more about, let's say, all the solutions that we have in our composite toolbox, please visit composites.mchem.com and you can see this for yourselves. So as said, we will tailor our support to the winner based on the stage of your business, based on the product that you have at this moment. And you have, let's say, this whole composite toolbox, but also these expertises to your disposal. We have a discussion, let's say, in the end with the winners, what makes most sense to them. So I can imagine that you would like to tap into, let's say, all these resources. So we kindly invite you to do so. And of course, you also want to know, yeah, what do I need to actually win? Before we dive into that, first of all, what are the awards this time? First of all, we have the jury winner. So together with all the partners from Mitsubishi Chemical, from our venture group, but also the external companies, we are going to select, based on a selection criteria, we are going to select, let's say, the winner. And in the end, that winner will receive a support worth of 25K. This is the first award. The second award is the Innovation Award. And there we are going to award the most impactful, differentiated, really innovative idea. And that also means that this idea may not, let's say, be as advanced, let's say, in the development stage yet. But if it has the potential, let's say, to disrupt the market, you're able to receive the Innovation Award. And we will support you also with the different categories worth of 10K. In the end, we will also ask the community of Revolver to see which submission they really prefer to win. So that also means that there will be, we will create a lot of exposure for the finalists, and then in the end, the community is going to vote. Typically over 1,000 people in the community vote, and so that's really interesting to see how the community is thinking about your submission. What are the key dates? We have launched this Composite Engineering Challenge 2.5 weeks ago on October 25th, and there will be an early bird closing on November 30th. What does that mean? Everybody that submits their idea before November 30th also will get a round of feedback by our expert jury panel. And that means that you also, based on this feedback, get the possibility to further improve your submission. and that also, let's say, means that you increase the chance of winning. The overall challenge will close at the end of this year on December 31st. And then it will be followed up by the finalist announcement on January 11th. And of course, also looking forward to the winner announcement on January 31st. So this is, let's say, the overall list. So we kindly invite you to submit, and you do have, let's say, a bit of an advantage if you submit before November 30th. As said, we will look into quite some criteria. The first of all is the technical feasibility, and typically we use the technical readiness level there. And you can find more about this on our website. And we are going to assess how far you already are with your prototype. Did you already, is it still in laboratory phase? Did you already do some testing with potential customers? Are you already in production? So these different levels can be found, let's say, on our website. Secondly, we look, of course, into the commercial feasibility, and there we consider the business model that you have. Is it a linear model? Is it a circular model? Are you selling a product? Is it a service? We will look into the value proposition, how strong that is, to what extent are you able to differentiate versus your competition? Do you already have customers? Are you in an MVP stage? So all of these, let's say, contribute to assessing the commercial feasibility of your solution. Third one, also very important, of course, the scalability. There we look at two main topics. The first one is the manufacturing readiness level, to really judge where are you at this moment. Of course, this challenge is also about supporting you to further advance in the manufacturing readiness level. So there, it's definitely not a problem if you are in a very early stage, if you are still in a very manual stage, because we are also, let's say, here to support you to further advance in this step. But we would like to understand where you are at this moment. The other part is the team. Of course, we're also interested with whom we are going to work, and our team is going to work. What are your competences? What are your capabilities? How diverse is your team? And how are you organized, let's say, to also work with us to really implement your big idea. And as last, already covered, is the sustainability part. Submissions that have elements of sustainability in there are being favored, whether that is, let's say, towards zero waste, reducing the carbon footprint, CO2 emissions, or even the circular economy. Those are favored above the ones that do not reduce CO2 emissions, for example. We can imagine that this is a lot, let's say, to cover. That's also why we have some online assets available for you to be downloaded, and you can take, let's say, some time to go through them. We advise you to do so. Typically, we see that the submissions that have made use of these documents really have a high quality and increase their chance of winning. In the Exciter document, you can see some of the previous winners. You can see what they have done and also what this has brought, let's say, to their business. Some of them really accelerated and are accelerating their company at this moment. So that's absolutely great to see. And there is an entry pack where you can go through, let's say, all the requirements that are necessary for a submission. You can go through the judging criteria as set. And also we have a document available around our last engineering challenge around the circular economy. If you want to look one more time about the introduction of this, you also can go on YouTube. Even there we have a video for you to your disposal. So we are getting, let's say, at the end of this webinar, and we are asking to you, to everybody that is joining, are you ready to really rewrite the rules of scaling with lightweight carbon composites? We are really excited to see some of those submissions coming in. We already have quite a couple of submissions in, and we are really curious to see if anybody in this audience is also going to submit. So make sure you do it before November 30th, then you get another round of feedback, but please make sure that you do it before year end. So looking forward, our team is looking forward, and also our jury panel is looking forward to see all those submissions stepping in. And then we are, let's say, at the end of this webinar. It's also open, of course, for questions. So I'm really curious to hear if there are already some questions from this audience. Let me shortly check also myself. I see one question coming in around intellectual property. Yeah, a very important one. Just to make sure for everybody that is joining, we or any of our partners, we will not claim any IP rights. Please make sure if you are submitting that either you own the IP rights or at least that you are not infringing, let's say, anybody, let's say IP that is around. Just to make sure that that you are on a safe side. So as said, we are not claiming any IP rights. Let me check if there are other questions. Yeah, somebody is asking around they only have, let's say, a beta version available. Of course, it is no problem to enter if you are in that, let's say, very early stage. Of course, it will be interesting to hear if you have already tested with some customers. Of course, that is, let's say, an added value. But still, if you are in a very early stage, if you are producing, let's say, in a manual way, it is no problem to actually enter this competition. Let me check if there are some other questions. No, there is no limit, let's say, to the diversity of the applications, whether that is in robotics or drones, marine, new mobility. There is no limit, let's say, to the diversity. Please describe your application well, show the multiplication potential, and also, let's say, how your idea can disrupt the market. Of course, that is always good to show this. But everybody is, let's say, kindly invited to submit their ideas.
Tim, there are other questions coming in.
Okay.
I will read them to you. How robotics can participate in this challenge? How roboticists can participate in this challenge?
I'm not sure, let's say, if I understand the question well. Of course, let's say in the field of robotics, yeah, we see a bit of a trend, let's say, towards higher speed, more accuracy, where lightweighting can play a role. We can imagine, let's say, that your field of expertise might not be necessarily, let's say, the hardware itself, but that you are developing software. But even if you are developing software that would, let's say, disrupt that market, and you need a partner that is supporting, let's say, with the hardware, and where you foresee, let's say, carbon composites would play a role, then you also have the ability, let's say, to join. So if you do not have the competences yourself to produce, let's say, those parts, yeah, then there is, let's say, also a good synergy in actually partnering up. I hope I've, let's say, understood the question in the right way.
The other questions are similar to the ones you already answered. So I think we can, yeah, there will be a possibility, of course, to send also all the additional questions after the webinar to our email address that we will send afterwards.
Of course. So everybody that participated, yeah, you will be able to contact us directly or go to our site. Feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. We're easily reachable, or even via LinkedIn, reach out to any of our team members. And then we're actually looking forward to see your submissions. Thank you very much for participating and hope to see you soon. Bye.